el día de hoy realmente el gran placer de presentarles a ustedes una persona que nos brindó esta oportunidad. Porque literalmente, sin esta persona, de verdad se los digo, sin la iniciativa de esta persona, no estaríamos aquí. Es la realidad. Sin la iniciativa, todos nosotros pusimos un gran esfuerzo. Que demos un gran aplauso a la cuenta de 3, 1, 2, 3, a nuestro gran amigo Sanford. Every 3 months we get together. We got people from 16 different countries. However, this could not be possible without your initiative, without that idea. Even though we're an effort, but without that initial step from you, thinking about this model that has benefited so many of us, all right? We would have been, and then go to school too.
A little bit. I was primarily in university, but then after about a year and a half, I ended up dropping out and then sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. Then I went back to school, and then I did a lot of sales, yellow page sales. I really wanted to master sales.
Master selling. Okay. Why? Why is that so important?
One, I never wanted to be unemployed. And so if you become a good salesperson, there's always somebody that needs your help selling their product or service. And even if you weren't getting a salary, you could always be working on commission. So I always wanted to be employable, even if I couldn't have a job. I wanted to master the art of sales. So I did that in the early years, up until I was around 26 into more technology-related ventures. I worked for AOL, America Online at one point. I was managing their financial bulletin boards and chat rooms. I ended up starting an online service called Interactive Cafe. And then in 1999, I founded a company called eShippers.com, which was an e-commerce logistics company to basically do pick and pack fulfillment for companies that sold online. And
what age were you at the time?
I was 30, maybe about, let's see, that would have been 99, about 31.
31, so you're not still in real estate by 31.
Yeah, I'm not in real estate. I got my license when I was 35.
35, okay.
So, and this year, April 29th would be 21 years in the business.
21 years in the business. I have the same time. 21 years in the business. Just a little bit different outcome. All right. Okay, 21 years in the business. Okay, so seriously. Very good. All right. So now, you become a top producer. You have a small team.
Yeah, so in 2002, I got my license. 2004, I started a team. And by 2006, I was running 6 real estate teams at the same time. And I was in the top 50 nationally with Keller. And so that was my 4th full year in the business.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was so I was a top producer.
So you're doing well, but now what happens? Why the idea of eXp? But before you go into that, the idea of eXp, it's now imagine a real estate agent thinking about again. Okay, so tell me the idea of eXp, opening a brokerage firm when you're a team leader and you're doing fine. Why go into all that hassle?
So
right?
They did. There's over 600 different MLSs in the United States. And it's a pain to join one of them.
Right. Is it a pain to join one MLS? It is, yes.
If you start a brokerage and then you got to go through all the hassles to actually be part of that MLS. And for me, I actually saw that as an opportunity.
Okay.
Because I figured if it's a really big pain and everybody's saying, why would you want to do this? You're going to have all these challenges. Then I knew they wouldn't be competing with me because they saw it as a challenge. And so for me, it's like, then if I do it, then nobody's going to compete with me for a while. And so it really kind of created a blue ocean that I could go after and actually grow something without really having the competition. Really kind of the mantra. So in the early days, we did everything sort of online, webinar style, in-world. If people didn't come in world, I wouldn't meet with them. People could try calling me on the phone, but if they call me on the phone,
Get in the world.
I literally said, if you're with eXp, you've got to meet me in world. So I created a number of forcing functions to serve what I needed to have happen so we could scale. Because jumping on a plane, multiple times a week or even multiple times a month, it's not very scalable and it's pretty expensive.
It is, yeah.
And so
it's not scalable. It's not so fast, right?
Right.
By the way, one of the things we tell our people is one of the main advices we give our people is don't go to an office. If you have a company that have an office, don't go to the office because the morale in that office is not that high. And the top agents are not going to the office. They are meeting with clients.
With my team, and then we would do an eXp Explain. We'd walk people around the virtual campus, show them where they could get transaction support, they could get this support, that support. And then some people signed up, some people didn't,
right.
and that was kind of the daily routine, and that's what we did for a couple of years pretty consistently, and then by about so we started in 2009, and by the end of 2012 we were 300 agents or so very small.
So from 2009 to 2012 is only 300 agents?
Only 300
in
agents.
4 years?
Correct.
Wow. Okay, so when the exponential growth starts happening?
So that in 2012, I was going, how do we actually turn up the hockey stick? And at that point, revenue share didn't really look that much different than profit share.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you were Keller Williams as a brokerage and said, hey, this is kind of like we're more mature, we got offices, so they may not move. So I was looking for another way to differentiate. And so that's when we decided that we were going to become a public company.
Uh-huh.
And so we went and bought public company in 2013 and merged ourselves into it. So we spent about $500,000, bought a public company, merged ourselves into it, and then created our first equity awards for agents in 2014. I think Elizabeth Riley was here yesterday.
Yeah, oh yeah, she was.
So
how was Elizabeth yesterday?
So Elizabeth was our very first icon agent in eXp. So she's earned the Icon Agent Award more than any other agent.
Wow.
And what we believed at the time, which is borne out to be true, is that the equity for agents was a game changer.
Yep.
The fact that agents are now owners of the company, shoulder to shoulder. In fact, 30% of our company well, actually more than that, probably close, 30+% of the company is actually owned by our agents and brokers who've been helping us as active agents in the field selling real estate. And so that's been a big part of the model is the equity ownership piece. So for us, when we put that in place, it started to attract different types of business-minded agents that we hadn't been attracting before. That's when Elizabeth talked to Gene Frederick, and then Gene, he was the top recruiter with KW, owned a number of market centers. He really saw the growth really start to take off was when we added the equity ownership piece.
Absolutely. So Gene says I came back that day after meeting with Jason at the time, right? And explaining Jason that president of also the part of the eXp executive team. And And he goes to Susan is the wife, and says, Susan, if I own 6 blockbusters franchises, what would you ask me to do? And Susan says, sell them, right? So, well, let me tell you, I just discovered the Netflix of real estate, right? And that is an amazing story. And I don't tell it the way Gene says it. It's amazing storyteller. But that's what we have discovered, right? And Elizabeth was here yesterday saying, I met Glenn. Glenn talks to me about rev share. I don't understand it very well, so I don't pay attention.
And I had 4 physical offices, and I had to quickly close 3 of them, went to a skeleton crew in kind of a single Regis office. Mm-hmm. And that was October of 2008. And we had to figure out how to get to 2009. So we had to quickly raise some money, and then that created the need for coming up with a business model that wasn't dependent on physical offices. And that's where all the thought process around, if we don't have physical offices, what are all the things that agents are going to need in order to want to come over? Because there still are going to be offices out there. And so that's where we came up with the rev share model, and that's where we did some of that. So that was actually minor in comparison. Where the biggest challenge was 2016.
De nuestra vida y durante nuestra carrera decir, hey, yo quiero parar. Hey, en este momento es el momento para vender y voy a vender hasta que me muera. ¿Qué estoy construyendo realmente en este negocio que le dedico 8 o 10 horas y que se lo he dedicado por 15, por 20 años y por los próximos 15, 20 años más? Thank you, Glenn, for that. All right? So, I want to hear a couple of stories, right? Talking now about that retirement. But the stories we heard are not about retirement, the most important ones, the ones that touch me the most. And I know you hear many of them. People with illness, very, very serious illness, that the rev share was able to keep them financially stable. 2 stories that move you through the process, because I know you know many. But if you can share a couple of stories with the audience.
Yeah, there are so many that they use. He has the honorary title of co-founder. He broke his hip in about 2012 and couldn't be weight bearing for 12 months.
Wow.
Or no, 6 months. And had it not been for revenue share in the company, he would have had to declare bankruptcy. And so that got him through. Still to borrow a little bit of money here and there, because it wasn't a huge rev share. Now it's much bigger. But it was enough to make sure that he could actually make it through without declaring bankruptcy.
Do you understand the type of conversation you're having in this room for the past 3 days? Way more. Yes, the production is important. That's where everything starts, right? But it's way bigger. We're talking about truly setting people financially free. You said so many people financially free through the model. Rev share, stocks, right? We had Elizabeth yesterday have the opportunity to pay off the mortgage for her parents, right? What stories?
Yeah, and the other thing is, because of the way we collaborate, which is totally different, your production will go up as well. If you're focused on production, you're around so many people who actually have a vested interest in seeing you succeed.
Right.
That even if you're not focused on the rev share side of the business, if you're focused on being actively listing and selling real estate, you will list and sell more real estate because of the community.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to the community. I want to change the focus to something that is very dear and important for us. You sparked a revolution back at eXp last year, talking about health and the importance for you. We have at eXp an amazing health insurance program.
Scores for the next day makes me less effective. And so in Success Magazine, we created successhealth.com. We got an Aura product there. You can get a discount for the Aura ring. You can get on Biome, which is the nutritional supplements where they actually do the saliva, the stool, the blood samples, and actually give you custom vitamins and supplements specifically for you. And I've been doing that for a while. My biological age has went from 56 to 48 on my last test.
Wow.
So how cool is that, right? To measure what your biological age is. That's pretty cool. Right.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, it's one of those things that if you believe health is an important component, you're not taking it seriously, you know, go to Success Health.
So we are going to open for only 3-4 questions the most. Define success with a couple of words or a phrase for you. What is success for Glenn Sanford?
So, well, monetarily, obviously, I've solved that piece. But I think I think success is always being able to have a positive impact on others. You know, if I can have a positive impact on others, then I'm successful that day. And I think that success...
That you measure in a daily basis. I love that. Measuring in a daily basis. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but at least it got my attention, right? It's a success in a daily basis. If I can impact somebody in a positive way one day, that's a successful day, right? Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so I think that success then, by extension, is once you stack up enough of those days, or, you know, you've impacted enough people in a positive way over a consistent period of time, then I think that really, you know, represents a significant ingredient in success. I think that success is a combination of finances, relationships, health. I mean, there's the whole package. We call it the success wheel at Success. But you know, it's how does your wheel run? And if it doesn't have little bumps in it, then for you at this point in time, you're successful. And then I think about success as being a continuum. No matter where you're at on the continuum, you can be more successful or less successful. It doesn't matter where you're at. And so success is really when you're focused on positively impacting the continuum. So working on the success, you know, are you going in the direction of your